A lot of times it's very easy with the algorithm to find yourself in echo chambers, to find yourself in ways where, like, you know, you basically have a mirror held up to you, your own perspective spit back at you in different ways. And, you know, if you think the earth is flat and you go on Instagram, like, you'll find other people who think the earth is flat too. So now we have these kind of inherent disagreements with each other, thinking that we're both right because we exist in these, like, separated, you know, curtailed or you know, curated spaces, digital spaces. And we think, well, everybody thinks that. It's like, well, no, only the people in your little digital
echo
space.
chamber, yeah.
Right. So now all of a sudden it kind of fosters division.
You go, boy.
I don't care about the top 10, the top 5, or who the best is. Money straight, my fam straight. I'm George straight, that's Texas. Angel wings on a Lambo. Praise the Lord, that's a blessing. Bentley truck like Lex Luger. Yeah, nigga, I'm flexing. I'm Richard Sherman, I back it up. And your mama, I stack it up. Hey, Poppy, yo, Gotti. Swear to God, I rack it up. Still Jersey, that's all day.
You go, boy.
It's your boy, U-Goboy, my main man, D Martin over here. Live performance. I'll freestyle too. This is episode 49 of the U-Goboy Podcast coming at you. Yahtzee. All grace, amazing grace in your face. Yeah. I'm in the space, I'm on the base. Yeah. I'm in your ear, I'm in your space. Yeah. It's freestyle, it's off the dome, it's off the top. You can't stop. This is like hip hop, or night hot. Yeah. Like a stopwatch, 4-2 speed. The boy's out of space. Yeah. I'm on another level, dog. You can't really see me. You really wanna be me. It's 3 wishes. Yeah. It's like a genie. It's like a genie. It's like zucchini. Yeah. I got the belt with me. It's Michael Phelps with me. I'm swimming. I'm winning. It's like the 9th inning. Yeah. I got D Martin on the bass. Yeah. Your boy's out of space. Yeah. I'm rapping with it. It's rhymes with it. Out of times with it. U-Goboy Podcast. Yeah. Overseas on it. Yeah. Bravery Studios. All up in the face. Yeah. Y'all up in the space. Yeah. Take it home. D-Martin, U-Goboy. Mar behind the camera. Yahtzee.
Yo. Hit those drops. You know what time it is. Yes. All the drops. We do drops on the show.
We doing soundboards?
Soundboards. He's got like the Zordon control chopper. Yes, he's a chopper. Who's your daddy and what does he do?
I want to get some Christopher Walken in here.
I like it. It's your boy.
You go, boy.
You go, boy. Yes, Sirski. It's your boy, U-Goboy. This is episode 49 of the U-Goboy Podcast, live from Bravery Studios in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. Thanks for checking in once again. Real quick, round of applause, all the subscribers across all the channels for blowing up the pod. Love you guys, all the support. We're on episode 49. We're about to hit the half a century mark. That's it, right? Half a century?
Yeah, word. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so going on 2 years now. The round of applause. The pod just turned 2 on June 9th. So yes. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We got new episodes on the way, but we got a new episode today, and we're gonna get right to it. Let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. All right. On episode 49 of the U-Goboy Podcast, he is a professor of psychology, musician, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, and lover of all things hair. We got my main man, Daniel Martin, is in the building.
What's up?
What's up, bro? What's up, man?
Rock and roll, hanging out.
Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for
course.
pulling up to the pod, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
dude. I love this place. Bravery Studios has a very close place in my heart. A practice studio I used to play in was another big spot that Marv used to record in. So we've crossed paths multiple times. I have my own podcast here as well, The Conscious Endeavor. People can check that out too. So yeah, man, a lot of good cross-pollination happening. A lot of creative minds and all sorts of things, so I'm all for it, man.
Cross-pollination. I love it.
Yeah.
Like the video. Hit that like button. Cross-pollination. That's on a shirt. You gotta get that on a shirt.
Okay. Yeah. It's gonna be bees on the back too.
Yes, of course. Product placement. Get those Ric Flairs going. We got Mark Perdomo on the board. As always.
Yeah.
Yes. Bravery Studios in the building, episode 49. So without further ado, man, professor, you're the first professor on this show.
Word.
Hell yeah. So you got like the doctorate and the doctor. Yeah, keep those round of applause coming. You got the doctor hat and gown and
I wear
titles.
A lot of hats. I'll be honest. I wear a lot of hats. Too many hats sometimes.
Were you always, so becoming a professor, being a professor of psychology, was that always a goal of yours? Was that something that you were just like, yo, I'm going to be that. I'm going to be a doctor. I wanted my titles.
Ironically, no. Not at all. It was something I kind of low-key fell into. So I was always just really a curious person. The story is very long in terms of like all the, career paths I've kind of had. But to keep that short and simple, I worked in, I was going for my master's, working in a neuro lab at one point. And I was working in that neuro lab around 2020. When the pandemic hit, all the labs shut down. I was kind of like not working after that. I had a job. So I doubled back on the university I went to school before and asked if they were hiring, if they had, open positions. I had taught during, I taught at a high school at one point. while I was doing my grad school and all that sort of stuff. So I was familiar with teaching. I've taught music as well, being music really being one of the longest standing things I've ever done in my life, being a real serious constant. But after the labs kind of came down, I doubled back and went in and asked if they had jobs teaching, and I've been doing that. Just finished my 3rd semester as a psych professor, man, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, keep those Ric Flairs coming too. Keep them coming. I want to feel like Rick's here.
Is it cool if I do it? Like,
go for it. Go for it.
Because y'all gonna get me hyped, and I can't.
That's the point. There's no other podcast on the planet like the U-Goboy Podcast. There's no other studio like Bravery Studios. We get it in here. That's what we do. So woo away. Feel free.
Oh yeah. I will. I can't be prompted. It's gonna happen when you're not expecting it. That's the best.
It's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen.
Hell yeah.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
That.
So you're not just a professor of psychology. So you said you taught music as well.
Oh yeah.
Do you still teach music, or?
I do for the people who personally reach out to me. I'm expensive now. You know what I'm saying?
Give me a yesterday's price. Give me a yesterday's price. It's not today's price.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you do that long enough. You really, especially, I'm 16-year musician. I've really been performing a lot. Like, so for example, in context of where we're sitting right now, last night, 12 hours ago, I was in Manhattan playing. Before that, I was in Newark. I'll be in Jersey City tonight. I got a show on Lower East Side, an outdoor show on the 6th, July. So, I play and I perform a lot, and I do, music is my forte. That's the shit that I eat, live, and breathe. So like if somebody approaches me, they're like, hey, I want you to teach me music. It's like, okay, we're going to go fast. You're going to learn a lot. I'm going to make you like get in it.
Right. And
it's going to be, I'm not too crazy, but you gotta pay for that. Cause it's very like, also the fact is like, this saying, they say that when it's very, you have mastery over a subject when you can make a complex topic and explain it simply. Right. So the fact that I know music like the back of my hand, I can make someone understand music theory in 2 to 3 months, like in totality.
Life flex.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like if I charge you $100 a month or like, you know what I mean? Like something like that, it's like, you're not necessarily gonna, then what am I getting out of that? Right. You know what I mean? Because I used to do this too, where like, when I kind of would do sparingly, because I taught in a learning center doing lessons at one point. And it was funny too, because I was doing bass, which is my main instrument, guitar, and voice, and I'm piano, because when I went to school for music, I have an associate's in music. One of my first degrees I got. That kind of brought me into that space. And then I got this job at a learning center, and the guy there's like, I'm teaching all these instruments. I'm teaching 3 instruments plus voice. And then he's like, oh, we have someone who wants to learn drums. He's like, you could teach that, right? And I was like, no, like I don't do that. Like he's like, no, you're the music teacher.
Yeah,
like,
you're the music guy,
you're
right?
The music teacher.
You're the music guy.
Yeah. So there was a point, probably I guess this was like 2015 or 2016 or something, where I was just like one lesson ahead of these kids with the drums. Is cool. But now it's something that's fun. It's natural, and once you understand kind of time signature, rhythm, and tempo, it's really just learning about mechanics at that point. You know what I mean? Like, all right, what body part does what and in what degree, you know? So theory to practice is really like that. And yeah, I break it down for people, man, when they ask me, you know, so it's cool. Especially I have a vocal student right now and a piano student. They both personally approached me. This guy who wanted to kind of get his vocals better, came up to me. He's like, well, you know, what would we? He's like, I really want to look into that. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll work on pitch control. We'll work on breath. You know, we'll work on intervals. We'll do, you know, traditional theory. We'll start to blah blah blah. And I just break it down for people, because again, it's really my craft. Music, out of all things, is one of those things that I've just really honed in on. And being a performer too is, you know, it's one of those things that I really enjoy and I really love, man. Can't get enough of that stuff.
Subscribe to the channel. Keep those Ric Flairs going. That's the only drop I want today. Keep them going. We're live here, episode 49 of the U-Goboy Podcast, live from Bravery Studios. I'm here with D. Martin, Daniel Martin. You know, we coined that. LLC, copyright, trademark.
Yeah, get in on that.
Here, he pulled up to the pod, and we're having a blast here. So, like, you've got a ton of different hats. Let's segue into music. So, you sent me some background on you. Talk about Expand with Dominic Rosada.
Mad old, bro. You talking mad? See, I don't really send it. I don't send nobody that link, and ain't nobody gonna get that link.
It's the lost tapes.
Yeah, because this the lost tapes, man. And it's a lot of the stuff that that is again, that's probably like 2016 era, something like that.
Right.
And there's a lot of old recordings, and those recordings are not really like polished or professional at all, but they're basically like tracks for people to get used to my sound. So if I'm jamming with like a new drummer, or if I'm jamming with a guitar player, for example, I'll send him that link to familiarize himself with what's the key signature and like what's the chord progression for this song and blah blah blah, what are the rhythms like. So that's not something I professionally push out. Right. But Expand was the name of the project that I had with a friend of mine, Dom.
Still friends with him?
Yeah, he's cool, man. He actually went to DC for studying law or something like that. And
wow, like Suits.
Yeah. So he went
Nice.
he went like his own way, and you know, so he's doing his own thing at this point. We see each other sometimes at shows, like very randomly, and it's always nice to run into him. He's pursuing music a little bit less, but you know, back then we used to jam a lot, and he was a great player, just let alone for the fact that I could hit him, because I'm very spontaneous. Like, I think spontaneity is kind of like the spice of life.
Oh,
like,
facts. Big
I will
facts there.
pull up somewhere random, be there all night and kick it. So my style is sometimes it's like people will have, you know, it'll be Tuesday and somebody's like, I got a show on Friday. We need a spot. We need a band. I'm like, I'm there. Or like literally like 2 days before, I'll do something, and a piano player, my friend of mine, Tom Rogan, shout out to that guy. He'll be like, oh, I'm going to do a set like, you know, a Saturday. Can you back me up? And I'm like, let's go. I'll be there. Boom, boom. Because I also, you know, improvisation is a big thing with music too. And being an improvisational player, being light on your feet, again, understanding the theory behind music, like what's your key signature, where are you going with it, and this sort of thing. You can kind of just like pull it in. But I would be really spontaneous. And Dom was one of those guys that like, I would call him. I'd be like, yo, I got a show, a possible, like, we're going to go to upstate New York tomorrow and play wherever, you know, for whatever. And he'd be like, bet. Like, and he was down to play all the time. And I love that about him, you know, because I've played with other people who are finicky, where they need a week in advance. They got to plan it out, you know what I mean? But I think that's just a personality thing. Like, whether or not you're ready to go. And I'm kind of like one of those, you know, I'm probably somebody who thrives a little bit on adrenaline, right? So I'm like, you need me here, you need me there. Like, boom, we're in it, you know? So the project with Dom was a lot of fun. It was a little improv based. It was a lot of the tunes that I still kind of play with my solo stuff now, a little less refined, you know what I mean? But he was a great player, cool dude, loud on the kit, my guy, loud, like would eat a kit, you know what I mean? Like the kind of dude who would put blood on a fucking drumstick, you know?
You Dom DeMarco and some savages, man. Keep him going.
Man. Wild player, cool guy, loved him, man. But that was back in the day. And then after that, I got into a progressive metal project, and that's with the drummer I actually play with now, a guy named Jimmy Ramos, somebody Mr. Marv knows as well. Very cool guy, very cool cat. He's going to be playing with me in the city on July 6th. And he's another really cool dude. Great playing, and we definitely know each other.
Nice.
We synchronize. You know what I mean? When we play,
Simpatico.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah, man. You know, when we play, he knows the way I play. Again, we were in a metal band before, like in 2018 era. And he just knows my rhythms. So like,
what was the name of that band?
That band was called Primal Thesis.
I love the name.
Yeah, man. You know how metal bands go. Yeah.
Totally. Subscribe to the channel.
You go, boy.
We're live here, episode 49. Me, my main man, D. Martin, U-Goboy Podcast. Marvelous is on the boards. Perdomo is on the boards, as always.
Keep
Love
name
you,
dropping
Steve.
him.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep name dropping him.
Yeah.
He owns the shop.
Best human.
But we'll keep it on music. As you know, I'm a musician. U-Goboy Music. Go stream that now. Available on all digital platforms.
Check that out.
On Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all that good stuff. So we met at Marv's birthday party.
Yeah.
And
Big time.
tons of that footage is gonna be spliced into the episode like a commercial for like Kit Kat bars back
Y'all
in the
gonna
day.
see it. Y'all gonna see it.
Get those drums in too. Okay. Hey. There goes Marvin. Hey, yo, when I say hip, y'all say hop, hip, hip. When I say marvelous, y'all say marvelous. Marvelous. On another level, yo, this feel like heavy metal when I'm coming straight from Jersey, so I'm fighting with the devil, get it? Yeah, fighting with the devil and it's hard for me to settle, nigga. I deserve a medal. Yeah, 10 years in, yeah, feel like this anniversary. 100K large, yeah, if you wanna verse with me. Man on fire, yeah, that's another surgery. A girl like Michael Jackson, another surgery, yeah. You might have heard of me, yo. I'm so worthy, whoa. I'm like Kareem and Kobe, be your boyfriend Skolnik, yeah. I'm like Jordan in his prime, yo. I do it every time, yo. I do this for my slime, yeah. Yo, got the bars to the back. It's Marvin's birthday, yeah, and this is another track, yeah. Stay spitting, yeah, it's not Rick, yo, young star, baby. I'm like Jason Wick. Hey, I got Jordans and Jordan, and your boy keeps scoring, and every day I'm snoring, yeah. It's like I'm snoring on a track. I mean, I'm sneezing on a track. I mean, I'm breathing on a track. There's no reason on the track. Another season on the track. It's like winter solstice, yeah. I'm so focused, yeah. I say the boy's so focused, like 20/20 vision. This the new religion. My boy dropping bars on me.
And that was all organic.
Yes.
And we had that one guy with that drum pad thing too.
Yeah, that was Professor Knox, right? Right,
Yes.
Marv? Yeah, that was Professor Knox. Me and him are actually supposed to collab on some beats. He's gonna slide some beats my way.
Throw me
pretty
on it, bro.
soon. Oh, absolutely.
Pull me in.
Absolutely.
Because that was crazy.
Yes, that was
crazy.
That
When
was
the
so
three of us-
fire. We low key started
Yeah.
a band without realizing it that
It was
night.
cool too. There's one video I'm gonna throw you because I don't know if you've seen it, but it was from he was taking the video and it's from his point of view where I'm like shredding and he did that thing where he stopped the beat and I did a little fucking riff and then slam back in on it.
Oh,
and,
send that.
Oh yeah,
Send
yeah.
that.
No,
This episode's gonna be crazy.
The people need it.
Yes,
the people need to see that
the
one.
people need it. No, it was so dope. Mars' birthday party was just a vibe. It felt like the episode of A Living Color or a
Yeah.
Lyricist Lounge show.
That felt like the
Yeah.
Grammys for podcasts.
For
like
real,
you know what I mean?
for
Because it
real.
was everybody in the studio,
Yeah.
so it was a lot of cross-pollination.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, that's the name of this episode. So now that you know, that's the name of this episode.
We dropped it, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, you know, a lot of cool people I met that day, met you and all these people. But yeah, like low key towards the end of that night, that turned into a jam session and a party. And
Yeah, you had come up to me. I was just chilling. I was talking to my homies and just feeling the aura of the night. You were just like, yo, bro, can you come up again and freestyle with me again? Because like, I like your style, man. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I appreciate it. Marv turns to me, he's like, see.
Yeah.
So that was dope. We freestyled like 3 or 4 times. That night.
Again,
so dope.
improvisation, man. I mean, he freestyles a similar way with hip hop. It's like, I'd say freestyle to hip hop is like what improvisation is to a musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally,
it's just like on the cuff, on the fly, like, will you throw down right now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's that kind of energy, which I love, man, because it's like put up or shut up.
Yeah, nah, totally. Give me some Dom DeMarcos, man. Get those fired up. No, it was so. I mean, your style, bro. Your style with the bass. It's just like, first of all, my favorite bass player ever, I'm biased, is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, word.
Like, that's
Yeah.
my guy. I got to see those guys in concert a couple birthdays ago at Madison Square Garden for the first time.
Lit.
They tore it down. Anthony Kiedis is the reason why I rap. He's one of the reasons why I rap.
Yeah.
And their band is just, they've been the soundtrack of like my life. Californication. That's all I played in college.
Dude, can I tell you that?
Go for it.
Californication was literally the first CD I ever bought.
Nice.
Nice.
Keep those flares going.
So you remember and literally CD, like
compact disc kids.
Right.
Where's my camera?
Yeah, exactly.
Compact
Before
disc kids.
streaming, where that shit was. But I remember holding that. I had to be in 6th grade or something, or no, maybe even younger than that. I don't even know. But I remember holding it, and it's like the pool, right?
Yeah.
With the orange pool with like the blue ocean in the back.
Yep.
I remember just staring at that, being like, "This is amazing."
That cover was
what
fire.
I mean? Yeah, and I remember staring at it. It's in the plastic wrap and shit. Like I'm driving, I'm in the backseat of my parents' car, like looking at it, like I just bought this. It was probably the first thing I ever bought, like with my own money. You know what I mean? And that album, yeah, man.
Yeah, I still have Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I still have that on CD.
Nice.
I borrowed it from my buddy Willie Dale. We sold books together one summer for this freaking multi-level marketing scheme.
Wow.
A company called Southwestern.
I wanted to call you a nerd, but then you said multi-level marketing. I was like, you know what? You're hustling.
We were hustling. Shout out to Southwestern or not.
We're selling books on the side.
Exactly. In Quincy, Illinois. But anyway, he let me borrow a bunch of CDs because this is the last days of compact discs. This is before streaming. So he had like a book of CDs he was driving that summer.
Right.
And he gave me like Sum 41. He gave me like Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Papa Roach.
Yeah, he was a huge Papa Roach fan too. Oh man.
Yeah.
So but nah, like
LimeWire came and took you out, bro.
Yeah, Bear Share
Cat
came
Kazaa.
through. Yep.
They were like, we see your business model and
Napster,
yeah, dude.
Frostwire,
Yeah.
No, but no, man. Chili Peppers was just so big on me. So in terms of for you, in terms of bass players, because obviously you do it professionally at the highest level. What were some of the guys that you saw growing up, or that you currently listen to and see that you're just like, that's my guy?
Yeah.
Real.
So I would definitely say there's good initial influences, and then after that I went rogue.
Nice.
Sure.
That's great. I love to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because somebody literally the other night asked me, they were like, well, who do you compare yourself to? And I was low key like, nobody. Like, I don't know, because again, the style that I play is like, I play a bass, but I play it very oriented like a guitar.
Yeah.
I shred on it. I'm doing tapping, and there's some people who do similar things, but also solo and sing. You know what I mean? Because I like to identify myself as a singer-songwriter on the bass. You know what I mean? And there are people who do that. But I would say my initial influences, definitely Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of a lot of the stuff he does is minor thirds. Some of the playing style that he had, some of the ways that I kind of initially move around the neck are influenced in his way. So for the theory nerds out there, those minor thirds are like that little downtrend. You can do a minor triad going down, and you also have that like minor 7 below the root, so you get that like kind of the basis of my bass playing.
See what he did there?
Kind of came from him, and then people like Cliff Burton of Metallica. Metallica's very, very first bass player.
Love me some old and new. Nice.
I mean, but Cliff Burton was very, very innovative. And rest his soul, man. He died on tour.
Yeah.
But one of the people who revolutionized the way I saw a bass, because for example, the song "For Whom the Bell Tolls."
Oh, God.
All bass riff, all bass, like
yes.
meaty bass, distorted sound. Again, a guy who's kind of taking that bass and making it sound like a guitar, distorting it, throwing shit on it, playing riffs on it. Because a lot of people are here, root notes, all sorts of things, but it's like when you riff on a bass, and another person who took it up and beyond. What's his name? See, but he's not too much of an influence if I can't remember his name. But again, those are kind of the people that I took at root. Oh, Billy Sheehan was the guy I was thinking of. Again, a guy who really, very fast right-hand technique, really, really innovative on the bass. And those guys kind of influenced me in terms of like, oh, okay, like this instrument can do a lot. But then I started doing like a lot of weird, so in terms of like speed and tone, what versatility of the instrument. But then I kind of started doing like really... I would want to say, because the other part of my brain would go into like Pink Floyd and the psychedelic sonic like open sound and like that sort of thing also really inspired me. So I kind of got into that. I would like do a lot of arpeggios, play chords and arpeggiate them. and get these really wide soundscapey type things. And then again, you know, now where I'm at now with like, they'll take that and then I'll loop that and then I'll solo on that and then, you know, sing over that. And, you know, so now it's just fully experimental mode. It's just like whatever my soul or whatever my brain or whatever, you know, kind of comes out.
Feeling right.
Yeah. You know, just comes out in that moment. And then, you know, it just breathes. It just breathes new air now because it's like the basis of those are set. And then I got it into like grunge and like, you know, again, the kind of psychedelic movement things with music also. So that's really where it's kind of just amalgamated from multiple, you know, avenues and became the sound that I have, you know. So.
Love it. Like the video. Hit that like button. We're here with D. Martin, Kurt Cobain's long-lost love child.
This is why I will never wear a plaid. You'll never catch me. You know, it's too much, you know.
It's too much?
It'd be the easiest Halloween costume, though, honestly. Like, you just put on a plaid shirt, like, slump my shoulders a little bit and look, you know. I could rock that. I could rock that all day.
Can you play Lithium?
I probably figure it out. I mean, it's not...
The bass for that song is incredible, by the way.
Yeah?
That is my favorite Nirvana song.
I'll have to dig into it a bit, you know, and I'll tell you a story about this one time, too, because, again, I'll play that Kurt Cobain vibe. One time I literally went into a bar, like me and some friends were hanging out, and we went into a bar and we were just like trying to, you know, have a chill night. So I was going to go into this place, pick up a 6-pack and leave because it was one of those kind of bars where you could, you know, buy and go.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
I literally walk into the bar and I go to the corner of the bar. These two guys, older guys, are sitting there talking, and they kind of like glanced at me a couple times, and I'm just sitting there, you know, my long ass hair, and I asked the bartender for a 6-pack, and like she's, you know, ringing it up, whatever. I give her my card, and she's walking back with the 6-pack, and probably like 5 seconds before she puts it on the table, I look at them and Nirvana's playing in the bar, and I look at them like a second before she puts the beers down. I look over at them and I go, you know, I wrote this song, right? And then I grabbed the beers and I just walked away.
Walked out. Give me the Diamonds in Forever. Give me 10 of those.
You know, so trying to keep the lure alive, they'd be like, yo, he's still alive, man. I saw him. I saw him the other day. I saw him in the bar. He was there.
And like right before you walk in the door, I'd be like, Tupac's alive too.
Yeah. Me and him, we hang out in Trinidad. We, you know, we'd be chilling, you know. I was telling you, there's got to be some sort of celebrity pipeline where they just fake your death and they just like take you.
They're in Cuba. They're all
That's
in
what
Cuba.
I'm saying, man.
They're
it's like,
all
just tell
in
the
Cuba.
public you're dead. We'll bring you out. Don't worry about it. You know,
you'll get your monthly stipend from all your posthumous albums and stuff like that.
You'll be surrounded by flamingos anyway. You know, drinking margaritas, doing whatever you do. I mean, that's just my forte. That's where you'd find me personally.
If you hear I went to Cuba, just know I'm not coming back. That's just what it is.
Exactly,
Oh
man.
God. Hit that like button one more time. We're here with my main man, D. Martin, here on episode 49 of the U-Goboy Podcast. One more time. Marvelous is on the boards. Mark Perdomo. And before we continue as well, a quick round of applause for What Lives Here. What Lives Here. It's the second film that I did last year. 3 awards at the Golden Door Film Festival in Jersey City. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Troy Burbank. Shout out to everybody who's a part of it. Catherine, Dan. Woo! It just feels good to do film, to add that to the repertoire as well as music as well. But let's shift gears real quick. So you mentioned your style is alternative, progressive, jazz, metal. Like that's just like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like? Because again, from songwriter to songwriter, like when people ask me about like U-Goboy music, like who do you sound like? Like I know for a fact when I first started rapping, I wanted to sound like Wale, Drake, Kid Cudi, Big Sean, J. Cole, Kendrick. I wanted to sound like the people that I was a fan of. And then when I came into my own, probably like 3 or 4 or 5 years in, now like I don't sound like anybody. I'm not actively trying to sound like them. I've got my own sound. I got my own production. You know, shout out to Eddie Heartthrob, love you, dog. And all my producers. So I've got my own sound. I'm not anybody. Like you had mentioned earlier. I'm U-Goboy. Like I'm myself. Like I know who I am. I know what I do on this mic. I know what I do over record. I'm good. So in terms of yourself, again, I've never heard of those terms being placed together, which is dope, which is why you're sitting here. Alternative, progressive, jazz, metal. Adding those elements together, was that intentional?
Well, that was on. I'm sure you got that off that link that I sent you.
I did.
So that's an old thing. But in terms of all that alternative, in terms of the distorted sound, in terms of like the rock element, alternative what was it?
Progressive jazz metal.
So progressive just means that you have kind of more than, most songs, as we know, are like a 4-chord progression, right? So anything that is kind of beyond the 4-chord progression or has time signature changes or complex rhythms becomes progressive, right? So alternative progressive jazz, because I use a lot of 7 chords, which are traditional in jazz, like minor 7 chords, which are really big in that style of music. So, which gives a very specific tone. A lot of R&B actually also uses minor and major 7 chords because they kind of give like a really interesting sound to it. So it's like bluesy, but it's also like whatever. And then rock was the last word, which is
metal.
Oh yeah, well metal. Yeah.
All metal is just heavy, angry, black rock.
Right. So the funny thing is it's almost really kind of frustrating too, because when people come up to you and they're like, "Oh, you play music? Like, what's your music? Like, what does it sound like?" It's like, well, you'd have to hear it,
right, to know
what it sounds like. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's an irony, because it's like people want you to describe in words what you do with sound, with sonic, sound. They
do the same thing with comedians. Like they
right.
You're a joke. Tell me a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Right.
It's like, well, if you want to observe the art form, like go observe the art form.
Come see one of my shows.
Yeah. So I mean, I've kind of what I've gotten from other people, because that was obviously just me like kind of throwing in basically influences, things that influence my style of writing, or like things that I kind of pull from in terms of jazz and metal and all these sorts of things. But what I've gotten from people is what I say now is psychedelic progressive rock. Because people say that has a trippy kind of element to it, because I have, again, that kind of open space, those really wide chords, right, which kind of bring very cerebral. Also, my lyrics are like very like, make you think, very existential kind of driven lyrics. Progressive, again, by nature of like the crazy shit I do with my instrument. And then rock, which is the umbrella term, so it's kind of
all encompassing. We're the sum of our parts. That's what we are. But seriously, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button as well. So I mean, I think when I heard you perform, and then when I've watched some of your videos, like I watched 2 that you sent me. You sent me one of you on a rooftop, which was I was jiving to that. That
Brooklyn,
was amazing.
baby.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And you sent me another one, obviously, of you performing Kingdoms.
Yeah, Lost Kingdoms.
Lost Kingdoms. Right. Now, Lost Kingdoms, is that a single? Is that one of your songs?
Yeah. Everything you're gonna see on my stuff is original music. I do not. I arrogantly, when I was younger, would not play covers. I was like, why am I gonna play somebody else's stuff? I mean, I probably could have maybe advanced my playing a little bit faster if I learned other music, because you get an analogy of structure of playing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was kind of so for the first maybe year or 2, I did covers, because obviously I'm learning the instrument. I don't know how to play it. I have to use other people. But I really like kind of selfishly was like, no, I'm gonna make my stuff on this instrument, and then that's it. I kind of parse that out.
It's interesting you say that, because I mean, when I was learning how to rap, I learned how to rap probably in 2009, because I did comedy first.
Right.
So I did stand up, acting into hip hop, and it's like, no, I didn't know any rappers. Like nobody in my family raps.
Right.
Nobody in my family really sings either, except a couple of my cousins that are amazing. My cousin Cynthia and my cousin Christine, they're awesome, by the way. They'll be on the show at some point. There's not too many performers in my family. So when I fell in love with like rap and bars, I was like, well, I got to learn how to do this. So honestly, I learned from listening to the people that I liked.
Yeah. And
learning their songs and learning their flows and their cadences. And, then it was the gift and the curse with it, because it's like, all right, I'm learning these songs, but I don't want to like become a cover band or a novelty act. I don't want to just become a knockoff Wale or a knockoff Kanye or a knockoff Drake. Like I want to, or a knockoff J. Cole. I want to be my own like person. So I've got to take little remnants of their style that I like and their influences, because everybody's an influence of somebody else.
Right.
Like honestly, everybody I just named, including Kanye himself, is a fan of Kanye. You know what I mean? So it's just like coming into my own, I had to realize, okay, I need to find my own producers. That's really the turning point. When I found my own producers and the guys that like kind of like finding a tailor that knows what I look good in, that they knew what I sound good with, and that's how like my sound came about. So do you think for yourself, do you think as you really came into your own, that once you started experimenting with different sounds and styles and other artists, do you feel like when that started blending together, do you feel like that's when you matured into the artist that you were hoping to always become?
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount of experimentation that's needed. You know, you kind of have to just play with your instrument, see what comes out, see what sort of sounds are there. You know, in terms of that, there's a lot of stuff about pedals and things like that, and people will nerd out so hard about like what kind of pedal do you have and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like one of those guys. It's like I got a distorted channel and I got a clean channel. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go back and forth between the two. But for me, it came from just a lot of raw experimentation with my instrument and what I could kind of do or fathom, or you know, how I could explore that instrument and then make sounds out of it. So I'm very much like kind of an organic player, I would say, in terms of like tone. Again, it's just clean and distorted, and then everything that comes out of it is just you know, me finding chords. And I would sometimes sit there with my instrument and just be like, okay, like just literally like move over this, or like what if I put this note in there, and just kind of try, okay, this chord, this chord, this chord, or this chord to this chord to this chord, you know what I mean? And just see what kind of resonated with me, I guess, in my body and like my being, you know. So I would play with a chord or play with a chord progression and just see how it would make me feel emotionally. And then I would use that as a springboard to create the lyrics, to create the structure, to create the dynamic. It's like, okay, well, where does this feel like this going? It's like, well, this feels maybe somber or something like that, or this feels like really triumphant, and like kind of the energy that comes out of that would really drive the writing process for me. So lyrics would come out of just the progression and how that progression would make me feel. And in that way, it felt very organic how I approached music, because it was like I would just kind of noodle until it's like, ooh, it would hit me. It's like in my ear, it'd be like, ooh, that sounds cool. Like, let me develop that. Like, let me work on that. And then it would develop into a riff. The riff would then bring about an emotion. The emotion would then bring about the words and the melodies that I would sing. And it kind of just naturally and organically developed like that. And then when you play with people too, I mean, you know, again, being in bands in the past, that's a huge way that you're able to develop things. I mean, when we had this, the last band I was in was that band Primal Thesis, right? And that was with Jimmy and this other guy, Brett. And we would kind of we would almost kind of improv and play together. And we would, again, same kind of process where we'd come up with a progression and we would dig it, right? And then all of a sudden, like the drummer would, that, you know, one little sound we had, the drummer would take a variation on that and then like play it halftime or play it like a different groove on it and see how it would change. And then I would play a different bass line to it. And each of us would kind of come up with a variation on it. And then we could explore each one of those variations, but then still have that kind of central theme. And then we'd have an entire song. Right. You know, now at this point, it's like, okay, we have our main theme, right? Well, then you explore the groove change, and then you throw the other lead line in there. You put a solo on it, or you put like another guitar riff in there. And then you come back to the main theme, then go follow the bass, put a different melody on there, have vocals in this part, no vocals in this part, or they maybe sync with the rhythms you're playing, and at that point then you have an entire song develop. It's just a matter now of just structuring that, feeling how you want to make it move. You know, do you want to make a song that's just a traditional climax and it comes back down? You want to make like a double hump camel type thing, right? You want to like, you know, you make like a false, no, it's not the climax. Oh, here, you know what I mean? Like, so how much of a roller coaster do you want to make your song? And that comes with like progressive music. Because progressive music is like, you have no idea where it's going to go. The song is 11 minutes long. You know what I mean? And I'm not that progressive. My songs are more like 7 minutes or so. Like, yeah. Most of my songs, Ether, Omniscient, the one I showed you that we just played earlier, that one's about 7 minutes. That's normally like my role with it, but.
I love it. Like the video. Hit that like button down below. Keep those flares going. Actually, whether you like it or not, give me a whether you like it or not, Marv, please. I got all the Ric Flairs. He's an awesome guy.
Because it is the best thing going today.
Love you, Rick. Got to get you on the show. Absolutely. You answered the question, man, about your song, your process. That's so big. When people find out, because we have the same temperament. I'm not look at me, I do music. Look at me, like, look at me, I'm an artist, I'm a creative. No, they find out from somebody else typically, or it comes up in conversation naturally. And the question I've gotten more than any, and I know you've gotten this too, is so they're just like, well, what's your process? Or how did you come up with this? Or they'll hear one of your songs and be like, what were you thinking when this came out? And it's just like, I always try to explain to people that don't make music that it's not so much that I hear a beat and then I write lyrics to the beat. It's so much deeper than that. Right. It's so much more nuanced than that. It's like, I'll be in the studio, like me and Eddie Heartthrob will be in the studio and we're talking about a feeling or we're talking about a vibe. Or maybe we'll go listen to somebody, one of our favorite artists, like listen to a Drake or a Kanye or a Michael Jackson, and we're just like, we're kind of in the mood to make this. Like, this is kind of what we're feeling tonight. Right. And then he'll start messing around with samples and on splice and sounds. And then I'll be like, I need a heavy 808 on this, like a real disrespectful like snare or give me some.
She makes you make the stank face.
Yeah, like, give me a stank face kick or stank face like bass line. Give me something that's like, really disrespectful. He'll start making it. And then the words will come from the universe. Right. Yeah. And they'll be arranged. And the hook or the bridge or usually sometimes I'll think I'm making verse 1 and he's like, no, that's not verse 1. That's the hook, bro. Right. No, that's the bridge. Right. It comes together.
Could have that other person too in the room to kind of give you that,
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been making music together for like a decade. And he himself is an amazing, brilliant songwriter, composer, musician, dancer, singer. Like, he wears 1,000 hats. But it's good to bounce ideas off somebody. And again, when you've got that creativity in the studio, the studio is such a sacred place. Yeah. I tell this to people all the time, musicians and non-musicians alike. It's just like, it's not just a space where you just make the songs. Yeah. You're making magic in there.
Yeah, and you got to be creative, man. You got to fall into that space in yourself, and you got to kind of pull. You said what the lyrics come from the universe. It's to get into that creative space. I mean, also it depends. Like sometimes too with the music that I'll make, it's like sometimes that music is very vulnerable. Right. Sometimes that music is like something that's just like you're bleeding on a microphone. You know what I mean? And to be in that space, especially with other people, for them to kind of facilitate you being able to be that open is huge, and I know some other artists who like they can't have other people around when they write, they got to be in the room by themselves, because again, it's like if you're trying to hone your practice or hone in on like a specific emotion, sometimes if there's other people observing you get that observer effect where it's like, oh, they're watching me, right? All of a sudden, like your energy is now different, and so much of music comes from that space of being like, as a performer, you learn to eventually ignore that. Yeah. Right. Because it's like, people are watching. Yeah, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But like, there's certain spaces and places that you need to go in yourself to bring that out. And that's kind of what that song Lost Kingdoms is even about. It's about those like lost avenues of the self, the things that we don't dive into, that we, things that we kind of ignore about ourselves, that we don't acknowledge, or, parts of the unconscious. It's like, and the unexplored aspects of self too. It's like kind of like also like where, a lot of artists really suffer with self-doubt, you know? So you say, I'm gonna be a rapper, and your auntie's like, well, you're never gonna do that, right?
Like,
and then all of a sudden,
why do you want to do that?
Right. And then all of a sudden you don't do that. Yes. And that becomes one of those lost avenues, as the lost kingdom, that area of yourself that you didn't let yourself explore, right? Because you closed it off. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I didn't do that because they said it, but it's like, yeah, but you closed the door for you. And it's one of those things where it's like, in my music, a lot of I feel like sentiment, it is always like, yo, you have the power, you can open the fucking door, and you should go there, So
Dom DeMarcos, get those give me 10 of them. Hells yeah, man. No, man, I love that. I love that. Like the video, as always. Like the video, hit that like button. It's like, there's it's so easy for your environment and your circumstance or your circle or whatever. Like I remember I was learning about biases in college, like in college communications, about how bias is crafted by like a set of circumstances for each person. Like what you watch creates your bias. Your family shapes your bias. Your friends, your circle create your bias. Where you work creates your bias. Like there's so many things that like go into that, but to me, it's taking a step further. It shapes who you are. It shapes what you become, like
who you think you are,
who you exactly that part too. Because again, as a creative, like we're I don't want to say programmed. I want to say we are kind of designed and architectured to create. Like you make songs, you can't really explain like why you wake up and get in the mode to make a song, but that's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you love. That gives you your sense of purpose. Same with me, myself, or if you're a podcaster, if you're an artist, or if you're a sculptor, that is what the universe chose for you to be and what you are. Now that decision of if you're going to stick with it, it is sculpted 1,000% about your circle and your family. And I mean, like my brother is a brilliant artist, drawing wise, and he's finally getting back into it now with AI and Things Galore. Grab yourself some Things Galore art or whatnot. And I'm so happy because our father discouraged him from that. Like he would throw away his art books as a kid. There's no money in that. Not knowing that, Dad, you could have just sent him to animation school. Well, like they have that.
Right. And the interesting thing too is you got to understand, especially when you start getting into the psychology of it, it's like, well, your dad only said that because that's his frame of the culture.
Exactly.
Well, there's no, the frame being capitalist America, right? Being like, well, that's not going to give you monetary value.
Exactly. It's not safe.
Right. And this is, one of the hard things with being an artist is like we go through so many like mental dichotomies or like, contradictions because art is one of those things. It's the first thing to be underfunded in schools. Like, well, the school's losing money or it doesn't have enough money. What do? We cut music and art. First thing.
That's the first thing.
But the crazy thing is that creative intelligence, I almost want to say, is one of the most powerful things. Because if you can be creative about how you solve a problem, you can solve a problem faster in 9 different ways. And like creativity is so important, and it's such an analogy for life. Like if you can be a creative problem solver, you don't have any issues. But the thing is like, and this is going to get me into a whole foyer of like being an educator, our modern school system being on this like thing of like, memorize for the test and regurgitate the information you're given. And there's not a lot of room for interpretative or being interpretive. I don't think that's even a word. But being
the second one was
being interpretive with the way that you analyze things, the way that you understand things, and being able to kind of come to new conclusions. And that's also something that an artist, constantly does, because an artist is innovating in the same way. They're looking at different things and they're recombining like, oh, what if I take like Kanye's 808 and I take like J. Cole's flow and I like ba, 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 and then you recombine and recreate. And the same thing where it's like, in society, it's like, okay, well, we see that this is an issue. It's like, well, okay, well, what if we take, the supply chain of these people and the trucks that these guys have, and you do that, and that, and then you can creatively problem solve. And that's like social entrepreneurship. And that's something that I think as our generation is something that we really need to do, because we have to, pivot away from, I'm going crazy here, but we got to pivot away from oil and war and all the things that our society and civilization is built on. And we got to create sustainable practices. We got to create renewable energies. We got to do all these things. And it's like, if we're not creative in the way that we solve those problems, we might not even be here in the next couple generations.
Well, everything you mentioned is rooted in capitalism. Like that's what it boils down to. That's why those institutions are pushed, because like, can it be monetized? You know what I mean? Like even what we're on now, we're on YouTube. Yes, we're on Spotify and Apple Music or whatnot. But the race is you got to get your channel monetized, and then you have to be making X amount of dollars. And if someone I meet sees my channel and my curated resume, you've got all those subscribers. Oh, you're worth talking to now. There's an amount or number attached to your worth. And it's ass backwards. And to go off of that point, because we got to keep it moving, like AI. Like we got to talk about it. Like we have to bring me there. I'm going to bring you there. This is what we do. We do unfiltered, authentic conversations. That's what we do on this show.
You go,
in
boy.
this country. All right,
Yeah.
here at Bravery Studios, Marvelous on the boards. What's harder to navigate now in 2024, AI or the algorithm?
Well, I think you'd have to elaborate on the question of navigate.
As
here.
a creative,
As a creative,
yes,
as a
rooted
creative,
in that, 'cause we're
what's
both that.
harder to kind of the algorithm? Well, so I'll give my 2 cents, I think, on either of these things, and again, I'm just gonna just what I think about them.
Go for it.
At the moment. The algorithm, you were talking about bias a minute ago. The algorithm enhances bias, right? Immediately.
Tom DeMarco.
So one of those things is like, you try to find something that you're interested in, and the algorithm will just continue and continue and continue to give you more and more things that you're interested in. So a lot of times it's very easy with the algorithm to find yourself in echo chambers, to find yourself in ways where, like, you basically have a mirror held up to you. Your own perspective spit back at you in different ways. And, if you think the earth is flat and you go on Instagram, like, you'll find other people who think the earth is flat.
And
y'all will talk about it. Savage. And you'll just, meet other people who believe what you believe. And the algorithm is very dangerous in that way. And I know this happened with YouTube as well, where it's like people were getting clickbaited by aggressive or like politically charged things. So they'd be like, oh, what the hell is that? And they'd click it, right? So because they clicked the politically charged thing, they continue to get more politically charged things. And then the problem with that is now it's influencing your worldview. And then you think that politically charged opinion is the consensus, right? But now, meanwhile, because of the algorithm, because we all have personalized algorithms, we all think that there's a different sort of consensus. And now, I have my own idea of like what the world is and what my worldview based on what I've seen through digital devices. And as of you, so now we have these kind of inherent disagreements with each other, thinking that we're both right because we exist in these like separated, curtailed or curated spaces, digital spaces. And we think, well, everybody thinks that. It's like, well, no, only the people in your little digital
Echo
space.
chamber, yeah.
Right. So now all of a sudden it kind of fosters division in a way. And there's a sociologist who talked about this. His name is escaping me, but he talks about the fact that we're no longer a community-based species. We're more of a network-based species now. Ooh. You know what I mean? So it's like we all have these different networks, and that kind of, again, fosters division. We don't know your neighbors, but you know everybody who also watches that show you watch, right? Those sorts of things. So the algorithm is a good and a bad thing. If you're able, just like it's just a tool. If you're able, same thing, again, what I'd say with AI, it's like it's a tool. So depending on how you use it, if you use it in a conscious manner, it can be a good thing. But also you have to be aware of its pitfalls. It can enhance your bias. It can put you into an echo chamber. It can do all sorts of things. But if you use it consciously, you have a shot. And one of the things is, we say we exist in the age of information, right? I like to call it the age of misinformation at this point.
That's a bar. That's a bar. That's a Don Cannon and a Dom DeMarco.
Yeah. But I think the biggest tool and what I try to teach in at the university, like when I'm teaching psych students, I try to teach them just discernment. I teach an experimental psychology class, and I tell them, like, well, this is the way that you get your bullshit meter really high.
That's a bar. That's a Don DeMarco and a Cannon.
I don't lie to these kids. It's like, listen, the world's crazy, and listen, you watch the news, and they go, experts say, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, how'd they do that study? And who did they study on? And what was the sample size? What was the age range? What was, how did they bias? Did they bias their participants in any way? How did they brief them on the topic? Did they know the nature of the experiment before they entered the experiment? Right? There's so many questions you can ask about the nature of, specifically even psychological study or any medical study, anything. Who funded it, first of all? You know what I mean? So there's so many parameters that you kind of have to, discernment is really like the biggest key in our age of misinformation, because again, you'll see experts say this. It hits, it goes viral. Everyone talks about it, blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, it comes out, oh, that information was actually incorrect. But nobody sees that. Mm-hmm. And it continues in the underground of the kind of collective unconscious, right? That we believe this thing and nobody actually knows. It's like, oh, that was actually false. And the pretenses of our culture are built on these studies that are false. And this is a lot of why it's Professor Rockstar Entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur part is like doing workshops for the public. So I do workshops at a place in Green Space in Union City. I do Neighbors Studio in Jersey City. I'm soon to come to Denville and Secaucus. I got a lecture in Manhattan coming in July.
Round of applause here, man.
Yeah.
This is major. Love it, dude.
Thank you.
Love it.
But I try to teach people about these sort of things, like how to discern your environment, how to not get lost in the madness that is this world. And as again, we're up against things like algorithms. Now we have a piece of technology that not only we can use, but is now adaptive to you.
Yes.
So you have to be aware of that interface, quite literally, like how it's going to spit things back to you and how it's going to give things. And I've seen a lot of people go viral about that, the thing with the comments, right? When you look at the comments of a video, it's different for each person, right? That sort of thing. So again, that's my 2 cents on the algorithm.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But if you want me to go into AI, I don't like talking about AI, man. That shit is weird.
Subscribe to the channel. Listen, all the clips. I use Opus Clips.
Yes, I've heard about that.
It's great. It's awesome. I know.
I kind of want to use that. Yeah,
it's great. It's great. Yeah. Opus Clips. You owe me some money for this plug, but yeah,
for sure.
I use Opus Clips for my show. I use it because I freelance and work on other podcasts. I use it for their shorts too. But it's great. But like you mentioned, it's a tool. It's a tool. It's designed to help you save time and help you with your workflow. And that's Marv even suggested AI to me. My boy Big Ed Horta, he I might snap. He freaking suggested it to me a while ago. My brother suggested it to me, and it's just like it's a tool. I see it as that, and I use it as such. It's not my be all end all. I'm not gonna hop on ChatGPT and like, can you write me 50 episodes of my show? I'm never gonna do that.
Or have it write a bar for you.
Yeah. Can you write 10 songs for me about love?
You know what I mean? Like,
and braggadocious like bars? Like, no, hell no. Why?
It's not original. And this is, maybe because I guess what I was thinking when you said AI was I was being kind of biased to just the idea of ChatGPT. And for the example like that, like I do these holistic psychology workshops, and I tried to use it. I gave it like a little bit of the info I talk about, and I tried to get it to like spit back like an ad that I could do or a script for an ad, and it was the most generic thing. Like it's good for, I'd say, like researching, helping you research, amalgamating information or finding information. But when it comes to being original and being innovative, I think it falls flat.
I do too. And I know it's going to continue to grow and evolve, and it's going to get to the point where
give it a year, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Record labels and studios, they're going to outsource to that because it's cheap labor and it's going to cost people their jobs. It already has, and I get that, but I'm a creative. You're a creative. I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to stay in the space of creating what the universe is telling me to do and what God's telling me to do. That's just me.
And there's also like that quote where it's like a meme that's just going around, and they're like, the future that I imagined was not like AI doing art and like creative things and me doing like all this work. You know what I mean? It's like, no, the AI is supposed to do the work so I can go paint and create and do, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to touch on with AI. So, I mean, there's two things that I'd breach with that, especially at the university level, and then also in terms of how it might affect the job market. You know what I mean? Because I forgot if it was one of these major companies, Google or Amazon or one of those guys, but they laid off like a bunch of people, and there's a lot of IT departments as well and creative development departments that are just being like cut because, again, AI can do these things. And yes, it innovates, and it's really to say it's a very, very deep conversation in terms of like what it'll do to our job market. Allegedly, if it could make things more efficient, it frees up people, right, to do other things. However, right, we still have this employer-employee paradigm with the way that we live, right? So if you're not an employed person, right, you don't have monetary things, you won't survive. Like we still unfortunately live on this very barbaric, like you have, but at root, it's like contribute to the system and you'll be able to live in the system, right? And that's, tit for tat, like, is great because that's based on our communal nature, on the fact that we lived in tribes. It's like, hey, you go fish, I'll go hunt, you go get some berries, and we'll make lunch. You know what I mean? It's like the division of labor is natural and important. But again, we still have this kind of thing. It's like, well, what do we do when people can't have jobs?
Right.
Well, we don't have enough jobs because everything can be automated. And then that's a very diverse political conversation into what they talked about with universal basic income, whether or not we're going to do that. Andrew Yang, who ran for president in 2020, was big on the UBI, and whether or not he wanted to do that. So that's going to, AI in that sense can completely revolutionize the job market, and it's happening now. It's happening fast, and we got to be creative solutions, as we talked about before. We got to be creative about, okay, how do we solve that problem?
Yeah.
But for individual creatives like ourselves, again, it's a much nicer conversation.
Oh, 1,000%. That's why we vibe instantly, because I could tell from the jump, this guy wears a lot of hats and he's creative, but creative, but he does these things he does them all at a high level, and but at the same time, you're self-aware and you understand that, yes, the AI thing is coming, like Skynet, you know what I mean? And so forth and so on. But again, you're in all these different rooms and have your hands in all these different, on these different tables and all these different cutting boards, because you get it. You see the writing on the wall.
It's interesting too, because when somebody asks me a question, sometimes I'm always just, like before when you asked that question, I was like, well, what do you mean by, what was the word you used? How do you navigate it? I was like, well, what do you mean by navigate? Because it's really one of those things where it's like, well, according to whom and from what perspective do you want to approach that question? Because again, at the university level with AI, ChatGPT, man.
Yeah, my brother tells me that all the time.
I could give kids a 10-page paper, and that used to be the hardest thing to do in the world, right? And they'd have to have a lot of coaching, and they'd have to really figure out how to discern
stay
things.
After school, and this and the third. Yep.
How do I, do citations properly, and how should I do this research, and like how can I cite this, and like how do I gain a perspective enough to actually talk about this topic for 10 pages and write about it formally? Now you can literally put a prompt in AI and you can make that paper in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
So this is where a problem for me is like, how do we know if people actually fucking know anything?
These are savages. Savages.
Sorry, but like, it's like, how do we know that people understand English?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At root level. And this is where it gets very dangerous for me, because I'm just thinking, like, how do we, like, there's how many people in like 5 years are going to be medical school graduates and they didn't write a single paper in medicine?
Oh, it'll show up at some point.
You know what I mean? And that's where it's like,
I'm still a believer in good old fashioned karma. Like, it's gonna pop up at some point.
Well, yeah, because you don't know what the hell you're doing,
right? Like, you head to the operating table, and even if you make it that far, you do your first trial run, and like, okay, so you have to fix this heart valve for this triple bypass.
Well, listen, that'll be done by robots anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
gonna be automated.
Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know how to learn it, because it'll be done.
I saw Alien. Like, you just type, you just type in what you need. I need a
appendicitis. And then real quick, turn it to left. You know, and then you got to take the alien.
It's
out,
coming. It's here already. It's here in Japan already.
The thing is like, it's really like, if cars could build themselves, like, how do you build the car building robot, right? And then like, what builds the car building robot?
It's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Like,
so
part 50.
Right. So it's like, we got to know at some point how to intersect or interject ourselves into these systems to kind of even just give them this system of checks and balances. And side note too is like, when you have AI, because don't think this is a solution, kids. When you have AI write you a 10-page paper with full citation in APA format, blah, 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 it makes shit up.
Yeah.
It makes up, it literally will put this happened, and it will put a citation. It'll be a fake author, and it'll be a paper that doesn't exist. So like, it's like, that's weird.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's also to think that like, this is supposed to be, it's a glorified language model, right? And the thing is like, I forgot what novel that is, but there's that one novel where they talk about like 2 + 2 is 5.
I've heard that.
Right.
I've heard it.
So you can actually curtail questions. You can actually have an AI tell you that 2 + 2 is 5.
Of course. You have an AI tell you anything.
It's a language model, right? It's a glorified language model. And we got to be really careful. Again, discernment being key in how we understand information. It's like now.
It's Google on steroids.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Right.
Like the God complex is out of hand. Round of applause. D. Martin. We're going to do a quick round of rapid fire and get out of here.
Word.
One more. Give me some more Dom DeMarcos for this guy. This is an amazing episode. Camera on me real quick. This episode of I'm losing my trail of thought here. Of Rapid Fire on the Spot is brought to you by Things Galore at Etsy, link below, as well as New York Posse. Grab yourself some New York Posse merch. Bravery Studios, of course. And of course, one of the singles from our guest today, Lost Kingdoms, right? Lost Kingdoms?
The one I played?
Yes.
Omniscient.
Omniscient too.
Omniscient is the one I played, in the studio today.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're gonna run through these really quickly. Try to give like 1-word responses.
1 word, okay.
Or 2 words if necessary. And then
that?
we'll bring it on home. So rapid fire. Let's ride. What is your favorite word?
Plethora. Actually, no, it's paradigm.
Spot on. What is your least favorite word? Love it. Best piece of advice you ever received?
That's got to be 1 word. Best piece of advice.
Give me a phrase.
Oh man, you can't hit me with that and tell me to do that quickly. Don't think too much.
What is the worst piece of advice you ever received?
Don't think too much.
Tell me when I'm telling lies. Give me a see a biggest pet peeve.
Oh my God, I did this the other day. Wet socks. I went on a hike and my socks were wet. My foot was wet. I'm like, I can't put my sock on. That's not. That's gross.
I had to hike in prep
gross.
school at St. Benedict's Prep for the Appalachian Trail. Wet socks, Lord.
Oh
Lord,
God,
my feet were disgusting
Worse.
afterward. Favorite song?
Lateralis by Tool.
Nice. Favorite band?
Probably Tool. Yeah, nice. Or Opeth for y'all who like the progressive stuff. Swedish progressive band.
Favorite book?
Towards the Psychology of Being by Abraham Maslow.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it's so dope. It's so dope. I talk about it, but this is rapid fire.
Favorite snack?
I'm not really a snack guy. I'm not really a sweet tooth guy. Like this morning, I ate a really good pear. And pears, way better than apples, bro.
Pears are underrated.
Yeah, if you eating apples, stop immediately. Go get yourself a pear, and your world has changed.
I throw pears and apples into a smoothie, and it's actually incredible.
Hell
just saying.
Yeah, get your electrolytes, get your vitamins, boys.
Big facts. Big facts.
I mean?
Best concert you've ever been to?
Ooh. No one's gonna know these bands.
Hey, you know.
But Gojira, French metal band, and Tesseract, a UK progressive band. I saw them at Terminal 5 in New York City, and that was amazing.
Dom DeMarco for the UK. Dom DeMarco for the UK. In it, bruv.
In it, bruv. Yeah.
But on the water.
That was one of the things too is that I loved is because again French metal band they would play the heaviest shit. And song would end. Merci beaucoup. You know.
Savage. I love European anything for the most part band wise. I'm getting into the Sex Pistols finally, believe it or not.
Okay.
So two more. Celebrity crush growing up.
Jennifer Lopez, man.
Hey!
I was about that energy. She was from the Bronx. My mom was from the Bronx. I was like, yo, you're one of my kin. Like, you're my people. Like, you know what I mean? Mi gente, you know? So if J-Lo's watching this right now.
I love it. Ben, step aside.
Yeah.
And
he did actually.
He
so,
did.
You know what I mean? I think I got a shot now.
And your group of friends, are you the one that's always late or the one that everyone brings their problems to?
Am I always late?
Are you always late? Or are you the one that everyone brings their problems
I'm
to?
definitely the problem. Yeah, people who bring their problems to me. Since I was a kid, my father actually found out also was the same way, which is really crazy to think that was like something that, like he told me that at one point. I was like, what? Like, that's crazy because, you know, I guess it runs in the family, but it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, if you're a little intuitive, people are like, what's your perspective on this? And, you know, people,
it's the beard.
People eat it up. Yeah, Where's the wisdom?
It's the beard. It's straight Old Testament.
I look a little bit like a wizard. I'm not going to lie.
A little bit. You're somewhere between a wizard and John the Baptist. It's all Old Testament. It's all Old Testament.
Kurt Cobain. Yeah.
Plus Kurt Cobain sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
And last but not least, what would your dream job be if you weren't a professor / rock star / entrepreneur?
Dude, I'm living my dream, bro.
Hey!
Like, I can't even, like, come on.
Whether you like it or not, one more time.
Yeah, doing it.
Or don't like it.
Ric Flair, I love you, dog.
Because it is the best thing going.
Round of applause. Oh my goodness, Daniel, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks for pulling up. That's your camera right there. Where can people find you? And I'll take it on home.
Yeah. So definitely look me up on the Instagram, Self Perpetual. You can also go to my website, selfperpetual.com. You will mostly at this point find my workshops there, the whole psychology workshop stuff that I do. But following me on Instagram, you'll get all the updates on the shows that I do, the workshops, all the crazy things that are happening with me. So hit it there and check out the website. I have a little thing you can sign up for mailing lists, things like that. So to keep online, whether you like music or the psychology stuff. Also check out The Conscious Endeavor here on YouTube. So that's a podcast recorded in this very studio. So check that out as well if you're interested in more conversations on that.
You're in the Marv universe.
The Marvel.
The Marvel.
There's a word there. Marviverse.
The
I don't
Marviverse.
know.
And then I'll take it on home. Eyes on me. You know the vibes. U-Goboy88. That's on everything. IG, Facebook, TikTok. We got 2 channels. U-Goboy88. That's all the music. The other YouTube channel, U-Goboy Media. That's all podcast clips, full episodes, BTS behind the scenes, posts, reels, all that good stuff. Go stream U-Goboy Music. We got a new video dropping this summer. I don't know when, but the video's done. Run It Up, filmed by A1 Vision, produced by my main man, Eddie Heartthrob. So U-Goboy Music, we got new music on the way. We got new episodes of the pod on the way. Sports Talk, me and Mongo. This was episode 49. 51's coming. We have an Eddie Murphy appreciation podcast on the way. Super excited about that. He's the GOAT. Beverly Hills Cop 4 is coming out. I should have been in it. But yes, like I said, thank you for pulling up, bro. Thank you for pulling up. You're the realest. And we're gonna sign off just like this. That's the belt. Cody Rhodes has that now. That's the belt.
Do we both die for it?
We both die for it and we both bleed for it. That's the belt. Sting had that. Ric Flair had that. Bret Hart had that one. Goldberg had that one. A lot of people had that one. Booker T had that one too. That's Daniel Martin. He's got amazing hair. I'm U-Goboy. This is the hat. You know the vibes. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. Yahtzee.
I don't care about the top 10, the top 5 or who the best is. Money straight, my fam straight, I'm George straight, that's Texas. Angel wings on a Lambo, praise the Lord, that's a blessing. Bentley truck like Lex Luger, yeah nigga, I'm flexing. Richard Sherman, I back it up. Aunt your mama, I stack it up. Hey Bobby, yo Gotti, swear to God, I rack it up. Still Jersey, that's all day. You go, boy.
Yahtzee.